guys, Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with the Ship With Me. These are orders that have come through the past couple days. I'm filming this today on a Thursday, so these are things that have come in since basically Monday night until this morning. Some interesting sales, some things that sold like super quick. I like to be able to bring you in and kind of talk about like what it is, why I picked it up, how long I had it for, what I got it for, you know, really just kind of bring you into like this side of the business for me. But before we get started here, if this is the first time we're meeting, if this is the first time you're stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet. If that sounds like something that you are into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. But with that being said, guys, it's late in the afternoon and I've got to get these things packed up and off to the post office. So why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipment. So the first little piece that's going is this great Free People modal tencel ribbed shirt. Now this is very much a basic from the Free People mainline with the metal tag. I don't pick up a lot of basics from there. This kind of shirt is an exception because it is that tencel modal, like slim fit ribbed. This kind of shirt in particular is really hot right now. People are doing, you know, they're still doing that whole like clean girl aesthetic, lots of basics, lots of neutral colors in high quality fabrics. So this is a perfect example of something that will sell quite quickly. I like finding these from Aritzia brands as well. They sell really, really quickly. Also, believe it or not, Abercrombie & Fitch. Abercrombie & Fitch, you generally won't get quite as much for the pieces as you will, but like depending on what you can source for, it's still probably, you know, a pretty good choice to pick those pieces up. This is in like brand new condition. It's always a tricky thing with Free People, especially Free People that like the metal tag, the mainline label, just because it is getting saturated. So if I'm picking something up that isn't very like boho flavored from them, if I'm looking at a basic, it's one of those things where you really need to know what you're picking up. Like I probably wouldn't pick up today just like a basic white button-down shirt from Free People, but something like this because of what it is, I don't think that this sold because it's Free People. I think that this sold because it's a tencel modal slim fit ribbed shirt. And you want to make sure that if you're getting a piece like that, you're using all of those keywords because that's what people are searching for. So this guy I had listed for just 1 week and I had like a lot of action on it as well in that week. And I had it listed for $28 and I got an offer for $24, which I gladly accepted. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $20.32. So these kind of things, while they will sell quick, you just have to be sure that, you know, your profit margin is there. For most brands, a shirt like this is gonna go in that like $15 to $20 range, which if you're sourcing for $1 or so, like that's fine. But if you're sourcing for like $3.99, $4.99, that might not fit your desired profit margin. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're sourcing. Next up, a great basic from a really high-end brand. This is Bella Doll. Bella Doll is kind of interesting. It's a high-end store, not crazy high-end, but definitely really good quality basics. And it's just a white button-down shirt, but it's got kind of cuffable sleeves like that. Now, this is the first Bella Doll piece, almost positive this is the first Bella Doll piece that I've ever found that isn't an extra small. This is a medium and it sold so quickly. I'm interested to hear. Now I know that there is a Bella Doll boutique here. Pretty high end. This probably ran about $150 new. Like it's expensive, but the resale on it isn't that great. The quality's there. So it's one of those things where if you yourself are in the market for like great basics, button-down shirt, check out Bella Doll because you'll be able to find some really good deals on the resale market. You know, for something that retail costs about $150, that's a lot of money for a white shirt. But this one is tencel. It had a nice flow to it, a really like nice relaxed cut. Just, you know, again, an elevated basic with some interesting details to differentiate it from every other white button-down shirt out there. So I had this one listed for just 1 week. Everything else I've had, again, have been like kind of extra smalls. So they've taken a little while to sell, but I think that the larger sizes, if I'm going by this, I think that the larger sizes in Bella Doll should be pretty quick sellers. So let me know your experience. Have you sold a lot of it? Do you see a lot of it? Let me know down below. So I had this listed again for just 1 week. I got an offer for $28.90, which I gladly accepted with a $1 cost at the bins. This brought my profit to $23.03. Next up, now I knew that this shirt was gonna go fast. I found a little cache of Saga pieces the other week. This is one of them. It's just kind of a boxy, 100% linen. This is an Italian linen company. They've got this cool like bell sleeve to it, banded collar, great shape. This didn't have a size, but it would fit pretty comfortably and pretty loose, up to like a size XL to maybe even a 2XL. But Saga's one of those brands that doesn't retail for a ton and resells pretty solidly and pretty quickly. I've picked a bunch of pieces of Saga over my years and they always sell reasonably fast for a reasonable good amount of money. It's not something that I'm gonna pay up $15 for, but if I see it at the bins, even if I see it at the regular thrift, I'm gonna pick it up. If I see it at the regular thrift for like $4 or $5, I'm still probably gonna pick it up. I know that there's a lot of people out there, you know, who don't necessarily have access to bins, and a lot of them kind of use the whole, can I sell it for at least 3 times what I bought it for? 100% any piece you find from Saga, you'll be able to sell, you know, unless you're getting it for $10 at a thrift, which, you know, some thrift stores have lost their minds with their pricing. If you're able to get it for $3.99, like all day, pick up Saga pieces. People just love an Italian linen, and absolutely positively make sure if you are listing a piece from Saga, use that keyword Italian linen, because people seek that out. They put that in the search bar. So this one I had listed for just 2 days. Case in point, these things sell quick. And I had it listed for $32. I wanna say that this probably retailed like $60, maybe $70. It's about where Saga lands in terms of retail pricing. Within 2 days, I got an offer for $25, which I gladly accepted with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought my profit to $23.47. So I hope she loves it. I love a great linen basic with a little bit of like twist to it. Next up here, this is another great like bread and butter brand. This is Fresh Produce. Now, I guess about a year ago, I had stumbled upon like a pile of 6 or 7 fresh produce pieces. It had to come from like one closet because it was all like the same size and right next to each other. And really quickly, they make these beautiful like cotton, this is like a slub jersey, just really great basic kind of casual pieces. And within like a week or two, I had sold through all of those pieces. They sold really, really quickly. I think that there is a cult following for fresh produce out there. They're a small brand for sure, and I know a lot of you have mentioned that you've seen them in your thrift and bins locations throughout the country, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen them in boutiques. But like they have a standalone store in Laguna Beach, which if you're unfamiliar with what Laguna Beach is, it's a really exclusive seaside town here in Southern California. If you're about my age, I think you know what Laguna Beach is. Anyway, Fresh Produce has a standalone store. One of their, I think it's like their walking street. They have like a walking shopping street in Laguna Beach. So if they're maintaining a storefront in a town like Laguna Beach, like they're able to sell a lot for a good price. Their t-shirts retail for like $80, so very expensive. And again, a brand to keep in mind if you are on the hunt for great like cotton slub t-shirts. So I had this listed for about 2 months, which is kind of interesting. It's a very summery shirt. I thought that this would have gone in the summer for sure, and here we are, it's November. So I had this listed for about 2 months at $32. I got an offer for $27, which I gladly accepted with a $1 cost from the bins. This brought me to a profit of $24.29. Next up, we've got another Saga piece. This was one I was not sure I was gonna sell because it was so dang cute. And this is very much like a log and look style piece. So it's long line, but it's got this really cool hemline, button detail on the back. Like I knew if I listed this, this was gonna go in like 2 seconds flat. It just had a lot going for it. A lot of things that I could use to keyword that are keywords that I know people really actively search for. But again, if you use your keywords right, Italian linen, linen long line, overshirt, log and look, all of those kind of keywords work for something like this. Also bohemian, boho, swim cover up. This just had it all. Let me know, like I see a lot of Saga pieces here. Do you see it where you are Yes or no, and let me know where you are and where you see it. I'm always interested in these kind of niche brands that I see around here because we have so much of the fashion industry like centered here. There's a lot of things that you really only see here or maybe in New York. But I always love hearing like we see these kind of small brands in like, you know, South Texas or whatever. But I loved this piece and I wrestled with keeping it. If this was like a little bit darker and a little bit more blue, I would have kept it. This one I had also listed for 2 days. And I had it listed for $38 and got an offer for $30, which I gladly accepted with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $27.34. Love it, love it, love it. I hope she loves it. I really, truly wrestled with not giving this piece up. It is very, very cute. Next up here, now this is something that I've actually had for a little while. This is from Me Your Mumu. And this is just like a swim cover up. It's sheer. It's like oversized V-neck kind of poncho style. And there is a name for this and I cannot remember it, but they have it in all different kinds of patterns. I'll put it down below. Again, something that I really thought would have sold over the summer and it did not sell over the summer. Kind of wild, but it's in great condition. Me Your Mumu is one of those brands I do love to find. There are certain things. Me Your Mumu has that benefit of scarcity on a lot of their pieces. Like they have things that sell out and maybe an influencer will post a picture with it and they go crazy. Like there was one day I was out at the bins and I found a jumpsuit and a little mini dress. And the jumpsuit was white denim and then the mini dress was corduroy. Very kind of similar vibes, very Western style vibes. I got them both for $1 and they both sold within, I think like 2 weeks. The first one sold within a day. The jumpsuit sold within a day and then the mini dress sold, I think, in like 2 weeks, and they both sold for like $100. So it's definitely a brand to be on the lookout for. Not everything sells really quickly for them, but certainly if you see the new tag, which is a more block letter style, this one's a little bit more scripty. I'll see if I can put a picture of the new tag up here. As long as you're sourcing it inexpensively, it's definitely a brand to pick up every time you see it. If you're seeing it at that like $15 mark, if you're in one of those stores that like marks up brands that they know are popular, just do some comping on that exact model before you plunk down that kind of money. So I had this for about 10 months. Again, I've had this for a little while. I had it listed for $34, got an offer for $27, which I gladly accepted with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought my profit to $19.92. That is going to a beach town, so I know that that is going to be put to good use. All right, next up here, we've got this gorgeous sweater from Paper Temples. Now, this is kind of funny. So Paper Temples, first and foremost, incredible brand. They do these like hand knit sweaters. This is all hand painted. Like, can you hear that? That's literally like painted onto this sweater. So I was looking around for a tag here. I finally found it on the inside and all it said was papertemples.com. So I figured out who it was, but it wasn't until I started steaming this and getting it ready for photography that I realized that I completely missed the label here on the sleeves. So that is the brand. This is definitely a brand to be on the lookout for. I think this is pretty niche. I don't think that they're very big. I think that the sweaters are pretty rare. They are quite expensive. They retail in the roughly $300 range. Pretty dang expensive and an exciting find, something I had never heard of before. This is like the definition of wearable art. Again, this is like completely handmade, top to bottom. Love finding stuff like this. Let me know if any of you have ever found a Paper Temples piece out in your journeys. Like I said, I think that they're pretty rare, but I know at least 1 or 2 of you were aware of the brand. But I'm interested to hear if anybody's ever found it out in the wild. I honest to God cannot believe I missed that bright gold shiny tag on the sleeve. Photographing it and I had a nice laugh to myself. But this is definitely like a one-of-a-kind thing. So I had this listed for a week. Definitely a bolo. There was no size on it, if memory serves me right. It was just like a one size thing. So I always make sure, especially with something like this that had kind of interesting proportions, if it's unsized, that I always put the measurements. I know a lot of people don't put measurements on everything. I don't put measurements on everything. I am always pretty quick to respond with measurements if somebody does want something. But stuff like this, higher end stuff with interesting proportions, I always make sure to put it on there. So I had it listed for just 1 week. I had it listed for $64. I got an offer for $52, which I gladly accepted. And with a $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $46.24. I hope she absolutely loves it. This is such a beautiful sweater. Next up, now this is something that my mom found. This is a vintage Chico's traveler tee. It's all this like really slinky black, like no wrinkle fabric. Like you could literally wad this up in a ball for years. Take it out and it would have no wrinkles. But this was a size 2 and in like perfect condition. So I think that Chico's Travelers in particular has a little bit of a cult following. I don't think it's a huge following, but I think that the people who like Chico's Travelers really like Chico's Travelers. Because I've had a lot of interest in it. I think the downside to this one was the size. I think that size 2 is like a size medium or a size large, where larger sizes in general in Chico's do better for me. But there is something appealing. I'm a little bit of a travel junkie myself, so there is something appealing to having clothing that like you cannot get it to wrinkle. I like linen a little bit too much. So I've just leaned into the rumple when I travel. Like I did a 24-hour flight in linen pants just a month or so ago, and I may never travel in anything other than linen pants because it was lovely and breezy and breathable and non-constrictive, but I do understand the appeal of being able to just shove into a bag and go. So I had this listed at $32 and it popped through as a full price sale. After about 8 months, so it took a minute to sell, but it did pop through as a full price sale, which is always exciting. And this was something that my mom got. I think she got this either on a dollar day or in her bins, which means she would have paid like 75 cents for it. I just put it in for $1. So with a $1 cost, roughly, this brought me to a profit of $29.41. Such a great top. I hope that goes to some exciting places. Next up here is a vintage Tommy Bahama Hawaiian shirt. Now, Tommy Bahama shirts are outrageously expensive. On the resale market, they go for not nearly as much as you think. Like you can find the 100% silk like newer Tommy Bahama shirts on Poshmark, on eBay, whatever, for like 20 to like 30 bucks. I don't pick those up all that much. I do like picking up the vintage ones. This is one of the more vintage tags there. This isn't silk though, so this is rayon. But the vintage Tommy Bahama shirts have a bit of a following in the college world. As a matter of fact, pretty sure that's actually going to a college campus. So I do like to pick these up. I just think that they're really fun. And I see a lot of them. Now that is probably because I'm in California. I'm sure any of you out there that are in like Florida see a ton of them, South Texas, all along like the Gulf Coast. I'm sure you see a lot of Tommy Bahama. The shirts are something that like, depending on what you can source for or what you're comfortable sourcing for and what your desired like profit margin is, I may or may not advise getting them. If you are like somebody who likes these or you got a guy in your life that really likes Tommy Bahama shirts, guys, look on the secondhand market. You can save yourself a ton of money. What I do pick up from Tommy Bahama always are the dresses. The dresses are crazy expensive. They're usually around like $200. They're beautifully made. They're usually, a lot of them are linen. They're just really well made. And if you can get them inexpensively, they sell pretty consistently for in that like $30 to $35 mark. Sometimes up to like 40 to 50, depending on the style, depending on the size. But they usually sell very quickly for me. I have sold a lot of Tommy Bahama dresses. That's kind of my bread and butter in the Tommy Bahama. This one I've had for a while because it is that rayon and not silk. And for the most part, when people are getting Tommy Bahama, they want the silk shirts. So this guy I had for 10 months and I had it listed for $28. Again, the rayon's not gonna sell for all that much, even vintage. And I got an offer for $20 and with a $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $17.61. I'm happy to move this one on. I've had it for a while. I haven't picked up any Tommy Bahama shirts that are rayon since that one. I feel like I learned a little bit of a lesson and now I'm passing that on to you. Next up, this is another one that I had for a while. This is from Staring at Stars, which is an Urban Outfitters brand. It's like a long line kind of point hem nubby sweater. Has that kind of like deconstructed look to it. Any Urban Outfitters brand is not something that I pick up all that often. I just thought that this was kind of a really cool style. Like I like that long line. It felt very boho. This honestly felt very Free People to me. It's got like a distressed hem here at the neckline. It's got that like point at the bottom. The thing about Urban Outfitters is that it doesn't retail for a ton. I mean, this kind of sells in the maybe like American Eagle price point, maybe ever so slightly higher than American Eagle. They do have definitely more interesting designs than something like an American Eagle. But on the resale market, I would never expect, unless it's something really extraordinary or like brand new with tags that's like very much on trend, pretty much never expect to get more than $20 on an Urban Outfitter piece. You know, there are jackets out there. There are certain things that will go higher, but largely it's gonna be in that like lower price point. But this was just something that I took a chance on, and probably not something that I'll take a chance on again. Just doesn't necessarily work with the profit margin that I'm looking for. So I had this listed for 11 months. I did have it for a long time. It's kind of a bulky thing too. I had it listed for $24 and I got an offer for $14, which I gladly accepted. I was ready to move this on. And with the $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $10.05. So it's still a profit. It's still a decent profit, but again, probably not something that I'll pick up much more. Let me know, do you do a lot of Urban Outfitters? Do you do staring at stars? Does it work for you? I know that there's a lot of people who do like that lower price point, but much higher volume. Let me know if that's something that you do and how you make it work for you. I'm really interested. I love hearing how different people kind of run their businesses in different way. Like I know that there's a lot of people that do shows and they'll sell like 30 items with a profit of like $5, and you know, and that's $150 in a day. So like that's not a profit to scoff at. Like that's good money. So let me know, do you do a lot of urban stuff? Interested to hear like what you do and don't pick up. Next up is this cute piece from Pole, P-O-L. Pole is a boutique brand, but a higher end boutique brand. They have styles that look very Free People. Like this very well looks like it could have come right from Free People. It doesn't sell for nearly as much as Free People, but it does have a pretty hearty resale market. I had a ton of interest on this and a ton of offers on Depop in particular. None of them came through, but just a lot of like interest in this, lots of likes on Facebook, etc. And I gotta say, like the pieces that I've had my hands on have been quite nice. But this definitely falls into like sales-wise, this falls into more like the bread and butter territory. So anyway, I had this guy listed for $32 for just a month, and I got an offer on Mercari for $20. On Mercari, I can usually accept a little bit of a lower offer. I know that like the buyers are paying a pretty significant buyer fee on top of this, and it's not coming out of my profit. I can always accept a little bit lower. So with the $1 cost from the bins, this gave me a profit of $19 even. I hope she loves it. I've got another pole piece that I need to photograph like tomorrow and get listed. So excited about that. Next up, now this is definitely a boho brand. And this is one of those things that I found in an old bin, which was kind of crazy. This is a pair of leather pants from Vince. Vince, of course, everybody knows is high-end brand. These probably retailed like $500, so expensive. But the crazy thing is when I first picked them up, I would have sworn on my life that they were pleather because they're so thin. Like the leather on them is so supple and so thin that it almost felt like pleather, and then the back is like the back part of it is suede, and this felt so soft and so thin, like so lightweight, that I thought it was like ultra suede. And I started to dig into it, and sure enough, it's goat skin. So goat skin tends to be nice and light. So that was a find and a half for $1 at the bins. The only downside to these is that they are skinny jeans and they were a very, very small size. I think that they're a size 0. So no matter what, this was just going to be something that took a little bit longer to sell, just based on size alone. And style. They were skinny styles, so that's a little bit less in demand right now. But leather pants from Vince, I don't care if they're skinnies, I don't care if they're a small size. If I'm getting them at the bins, I'm gonna go ahead and pick those up because I know I'm gonna get a good profit on them. No matter what. It might take a year, but I'm gonna get a good profit on them. And also we're getting them out of that waist stream. I mean, could you imagine leather pants from Vince? And I'm kind of surprised that nobody else picked these up. So I had these for about 6 months, and I had them listed, I want to say at like $119 for a while, and I ended up lowering the price on them. Again, there was just like, there were things working against them, and I wanted to make sure that these moved. So I lowered the price. I had them listed at $89, and I got an offer for $64, which I gladly accepted. I was ready to move these guys on. And with $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $58.21, which I am plenty happy with. And the buyer's picking up a pair of pants. These must have been somewhere like $500 to $700. So she's getting a good deal, I'm getting a good deal. And together we are saving a fabulous pair of leather pants from the waist stream. And finally here, this is a cute little sweater from a brand called Sincerely Jules. Now, Sincerely Jules is a boutique brand, and I see a lot of it and I leave most of it behind, but they do have some very cute trend pieces. And this is a perfect example of like a boutique piece that I will pick up. This is very like Gen Z looking. It's got the half and half colors. It's pink and red. This can be keyworded as preppy, as coquette, as Gen Z, kind of as Y2K style. Like there's a lot about this that I could keyword, and it had a ton of interest in it. So this is a perfect example of a great bread and butter piece that I would pick up all day. Pontel knit, chunky knit, but it's just a matter of knowing how to keyword these kind of things if you pick them up. Otherwise they'll sit. And it's funny, when I'm going through the process of like searching for comps, the amount of sellers out there that I see, you know, I'll see something like this and it'll be like pink and red sweater, great condition. It's not gonna move. It's not gonna move. So I had this listed for about 3 months, and I had it listed for $32, and this probably retailed about $50. Sincerely Jules, again, is like it's like a mid-tier boutique brand. I would not call this high-end at all, but just trend-wise, this is something that would move based on the style. Like right now, this is something that in 2 years is probably gonna look pretty out of date, but right now it's very on trend. So I had it listed for $32, got an offer for $27, which I gladly accepted. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought my profit to $20.60. And that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. You know, honestly, there's a lot of bread and butter in this shipment, and I'm kind of happy about that. Like, I know a lot of you tune in to see some of like the wild things that I find at my bins, and I know that my bins are like lousy with like great designer pieces. But I know that that's not the reality for a lot of you out there. Like maybe you're not near a bins location. Maybe your bins location doesn't have anything close to what we have here. You know, I'm in the Los Angeles area. There's a lot of money out here. There's a lot of fashion out here. Like it makes sense that our bins locations up and down the coast here are chock full of good stuff. But if you are, you know, in Northern Kentucky or you're in Western Pennsylvania, like you might not have access to that stuff. So I love sometimes having these kind of shipments with a lot more bread and butter type stuff to really help you figure out what it is that you should be picking up at your location with what you have available to you. Hopefully it's helpful. Like I'm still gonna nerd out about the incredible finds though. But thank you guys so much for hanging with me while I literally get my work done. I so appreciate you taking a little time out of your busy weeks to hang with me. But I've gotta get these things loaded into my car and off to the post office. So if you guys had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. But without further ado, everybody, have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you in the next one.